Steady move and nobody gets hurt. This is a stick up by Jerry and Adrian, the Legalized Robbery podcast.
Start with Tipranks. Tipranks is you'll see that a pattern of my stock analysis is mostly quantitative, and I only go into qualitative when I'm inspecting the stock, either before doing the quantitative or after doing the quantitative. Sometimes I start from quantitative, go to qualitative, and sometimes it's just the other way around. But yeah, Tipranks is a quantitative resource in the sense that it has a lot of numbers. It gives you a general feel. What's interesting about Tipranks is, first off, you have there's this neat overview of a stock. So basically, I'm looking at Tesla right now. Basically, what they have this broken down into sectors. You can actually touch upon each of them individually, but they have it as a general. Of course, you might agree or you might disagree with this, but most of them have some purpose here. For example, this is the analyst ratings. So basically, if you go to analyst, you'll have a view of what people's price target is and what's the average of their price target, and then what's the difference between the current price and the average price. So basically, right now, they're saying that Tesla has a 7% upside potential, meaning that if the average price is 7.1026, and Tesla can run 7% more. Now this is
Michael Burry.
Yeah, of course, because he's shorting it. Actually, I was just reading an article, and basically they were suspecting that Michael Burry bought somewhere in between $900 and $550. So from that point of view, he's either break even right now or slightly in profit. So his Tesla short hasn't.
I mean, his short.
Yeah. He bought it. He disclosed his short in a quarter where the Tesla extremes were 550 and 900. So his price can be much higher or much lower than that. If he shorted it at the top, he's in good profit. But if he shorted it a while lower, he's not that much in profit actually.
Yeah,
but
it is actually quite weird because I believe the SEC is doing a national probe into Tesla. I think that's worth mentioning.
Yes, regarding full self-driving or autopilot.
Yeah, the claims of full self-driving and autopilot, and it will be interesting to see what comes of that.
Going back to the tools. I think this is interesting because you kind of get a feeling of price target from Wall Street, and I think that's at least again quantitatively interesting. What should be mentioned is, for example, these are basically analysts from investment firms. So they're not bad analysts, but they're not necessarily good analysts either. So do you know Gordon Johnson, the guy who is super skeptical on Tesla?
Nope.
Yeah, whatever. He's an analyst, and people make fun of him because he's not super intelligent, because he's always bearish on Tesla. But point being, I think this $150 is actually his price target, but he's not over achieving the market. I think we can find him. Wait.
Yeah, that's the other thing on Tipranks. You can see sort of public investors' performance so far.
Okay, this is the guy. So you can see his performance. Obviously, it's what his see. I wouldn't say he's a qualitative researcher. And his so he has been rating Tesla a sell since forever. So
how many L's can you take?
All of them, apparently. But this is the whole thing with the analyst, and then you have this is a new feature. They list risk factors from a company's thank you form, which is interesting. It kind of tells you, because companies are actually legally required to disclose their own perceived risks. So, and they do it, but you can basically try to imagine and see where companies think they might have some risks, which basically, if you don't have such an in-depth information regarding the company, it can allow you to go deeper. Yeah.
Can I interject here for a second, and I'll include
Yeah,
this
sure.
in the video? There is actually a SEC searchable, SEC form searchable tool that allows you to go through a company's risk factors. Just like you just mentioned, every company has to state those in their SEC filing at the IPO. And one interesting one to note is maybe exactly on the site now is maybe
Yeah.
like Coinbase, and they mentioned that one of their risk factors is if Satoshi Nakamoto, who is the would-be inventor of Bitcoin, would surface, that this could be huge impact on their stock and Bitcoin as a currency, and then could therefore affect the company's returns positively or negatively. So,
Yeah.
but that's just one high profile example. But if you were to figure out, okay, what is the risk of any given stock I'm invested in, which I would recommend everybody to do. Like, you should know the sort of risk factors of the stocks you're investing in. Like, there shouldn't be a stock that you own where you don't know the risk factors. I say this shit, and I haven't done this on 100% of my stocks, so I'm a bit of a hypocrite. But do better than me. Know your risk factors.
Yeah. I think again, one of the best uses of this section is looking at the general category of this and basically checking it out from the macroeconomics. For example, finance and corporate, you can look at their financial statement and you can see if that's a problem or not, if it's getting worse or not. Production, you can probably look at the general supply chain and, for example, chip manufacturing. And if you see that improving, you would be able to, let's say, deduce that, okay, Tesla will do fine this quarter because basically the shortage is getting better, right? So from that perspective, there's ways that you can use this information. The next one is this with Tesla stock investors. Basically, everybody on Tipranks has a portfolio, and you can make it public or not. Basically, this is sort of a popularity contest, but I think it's relevant because retail investors are super relevant now, right? Like, they can cause prices to go up and down. So first off, a lot of people own Tesla, but you can also look at the seasonality, and people have been they kind of been giving up on Tesla in the past 30 days, which is interesting. You can basically follow trends like this. There's obviously bloggers, which basically they do sentiment analysis on articles from different financial papers like Motley Fool, Seeking Alpha, Investor Place, and stuff like that, which again is interesting, but sometimes these articles are kind of general. For example, all of these negative ones, they're general. Probably this one has some specific Tesla stuff. But for example, the bullish one, this is only the one regarding Tesla. So this isn't necessarily a good information. This is also interesting. The insider, as Jerry has shared, we had different tools for insider. But yeah, this is just like an aggregate of all of it. Again, it's quantitative. So basically, how I usually use Tipranks is, for example, I want to buy a company. I just look at this before looking at, I wouldn't say everything else, but this is a super good starting point for me. Because, yeah, so some of these things are not super relevant. Most of the other ones are. For example, hedge fund activity and insider activity, I think they're super important. Technicals, maybe not that much. News, maybe not that much. Tip rank investors, maybe not that much. But yeah, the more quantitative ones, I think they're useful. So yeah, I usually, again, like I said, either I go from this to qualitative or from qualitative to this. Cool?
Super interesting.
Nobody move and nobody gets hurt. This is a stick up by Jerry and Adrian, the Legalized Robbery podcast.